I'm going to teach you how to greet in Afrikaans. I think I'll do that. Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome to Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa. And look who I have here with me again today. Yay, my beautiful fellow Aquarian soul sister, the lovely BRICE WATSON. How are you, honey?
That was really good. That, you know, when I was we were laughing about languages, and when I was a little kid, I used to hate when people with real Southern accents would call my name. So they'd be like, brass, brass. And oh my God, it was like nails on a chalkboard. So you did that really well. Like you mimicked that just perfectly. So
I'm glad I could do it. I'm glad, because we were just saying, I think I'm going to teach you how to greet in Afrikaans. Okay, I think we should teach you how to greet in Afrikaans. Okay, Afrikaans lessons here on Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa. So you are in the morning there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's 11:11 a.m.
Oh, wow. Goeiemorgen allemaal.
Goeiemorgen. Goeie.
Mora.
Mora.
It's a goeie. Mora.
Mora.
Mora. Allemaal.
Allemaal.
Goeiemorgen allemaal. Good morning, everybody.
Lord, you know, so I remember taking a language class in college, and they talked a lot about, especially with the English language, like how these different accents came about. And I know the thing about the American accent is, of course, this is what Americans do. We use so many, and I guess Canadians as well. You can classify Canadians with the same thing. We overuse our mouth muscles. We overuse them. And so and that's like, with you feel like the British accent is a little bit more of a relaxed musculature. I don't know if you say that in your mouth, but anyway, although I will say I do speak a little redneck. However, there are some gas stations or petro stations down in the south of Georgia where I'll go in and I can't understand what they're saying. I have to ask them to repeat themselves because
it's too broad.
What? So anyway, but yes, I'm so happy. I was telling you, Shanti, I'm feeling so freaking sassy this morning. And before we get into
sassy, honey, you are sassy, you're beautiful, you're sassy, you're just sassy. Queen Sassy will be your name from now. Queen Sassy. I'm sure our audience will agree.
I am like, well, the funny thing is, and I want to say this, I made a little quick update video for my channel that I'm going to post a little bit later because I was like fuming. I want to say this though, because I know, Shanti, you probably will agree with this. 99.9% of the people that are in our communities that watch our shows are the coolest, most amazing human beings. And I say this with, it is an honor to know that you guys actually take the time to watch my videos. Like, I'm still shocked about that people actually want to listen to my research. Like, that still shocks me. And so I want to make that very clear with 99.9% of the people. I am so humbled and just feel so much love from you guys that I know we wouldn't have our channels. We wouldn't have our platforms if it were not for you guys. We would just be talking to ourselves. And Absolutely. So I want you guys to know, like, you guys mean the world to us. You mean the world to us. But there's that 0.01% of assholes out there that make up these stories in their heads that are actually kind of comical. I know I've had some whoppers told about me. I know people at one point thought I was Princess Diana, which, gee, thanks, guys. I'm younger than William. I'm younger than her son, William. So what does that say about... Like, I'm 39, guys. I'm not Princess. Like, do I look like I'm old enough to be like, come on. I've heard that I'm a Kennedy. I'm not a Kennedy, guys. My name is my legal name. And then yesterday I had somebody call into David's shows and accuse me of being like a government asset. And I was saying to Shanti, I was like, I literally had just posted about boob sweat on my Twitter account before that happened. Rest assured, I'm not working for you. Like, rest assured, I'm filming from my bedroom right now. Like, I'm just a girl in Georgia. And I also wanted to say too, you know, my opening song on my channel that I've had since I started my channel is my friend's band. Guys, that's my friend's band. And a lot of the viewers know that because we've talked about it before. And the link to the whole song is always down in my description box. And I was telling Shanti, like, I really moving forward, when the matrix does finally crumble and we are just humans again, we're supposed to help each other. Like that's the whole part of, we're all just walking each other home. And the music at the beginning of my show is a friend that I knew long before YouTube started. I've known him for a while now. And I wanted to, when I first started to do a channel, I was like, you know what? I'm going to contact him and see if he has music that I can splice and put in my opening song to help promote him. You know, if anything were to happen with this channel, would it get his music out there too? Because I'm a huge fan of music. I think most people are. And when the flip happens, we're going to need these good musicians to be able to continue to create. And so why not promote? Oh my God, but the people come up with these wild ideas that it's like cabal stuff. I'm like, no. He literally lives in Georgia. He doesn't live in Hollywood. He lives in Georgia. You know, let's like settle into this a little bit. Yeah, there are infiltrators in the truther movement, but that's not Shanti or me. And I mean, as I said yesterday, my name is my legal name. Like I don't hide myself. This is my real face. Like this is my legal name. You can research me if you want to, you know, like there's nothing I'm hiding. And so we just have to be a little bit more, I don't know. It's like, and also the thing about monetization, Shanti, you were saying something about congratulations, by the way, from getting your channel monetized, because it takes a lot of work to run channels.
You know, I wanted to just say, we were just talking really about comments and things we get off air. And, and Bryce, as you say as well, you know, 99.9% of our viewers are amazing. And, you know, there'll always be the kind of same crowd that comments and what have you. And really appreciate, really enjoy reading your comments. So thank you. But I've had a couple of emails actually about people complaining that we've monetized our channel. In other words, you're getting ads on now. And very sarcastic. I mean, one lady in particular said, well, I suppose you have to earn money off it, don't you? It was like, I just thought it was so rude because firstly, you know, we don't charge for our services. There's a lot of hours. I mean, if you're just looking at the research, the time we take to record, the time Monet takes to put I mean, in your case, you put the stuff together. When our channel gets struck, it's rebuilding it, you know, and it's marketing the channel and getting it on the different social media sites. You know, it takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So yes, we did decide at the beginning of the year to, in other words, put ads on the channel so that we do earn revenue from that. But that's why we're doing it. So please, guys, no more complaints about that. You know, skip ad or whatever. You know, we are not the only channel out there that has got ads on.
I'm monetized. My channel's monetized. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a few. Catherine Edwards, our friend, she's monetized.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were one of the few that weren't monetized, actually. And it's no problem, you know. We are not driven to do this for the money, but we understand in order to live and to continue to do what we do need to pay ourselves as well. So this is one way of doing it. So if you can just calm down on those comments around stuff, that'd be really cool. Anything else? Happy to speak with you guys. And, you know, happy to get feedback and stuff like that. And always questions, please just always be respectful. I will happily put people in timeout. It's quite nice. Tick timeout. If I see rude comments on there, I'm not tolerating it. You know, there's so much ugliness in the world out there. Mm-hmm. Let's just be cool with each other while we're in our little community.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I want to give. Let me give one example because I know a lot of people understand that like we still have to eat and pay bills, and this running and even though I love what I do now, like this is the most fun I've ever had doing any type of like work, you know, but it is a full-time job. especially with researching, you're not, a lot of the stuff I research, I just know a little bit about, but I have to go and do a full on, like I'm back at university, like digging through articles. It takes me hours to show prep a particular topic. But I want to tell you guys, like for my videos, if I have an hour video, just to give you guys an example, if there's an hour video and I'm going to go edit it and put pictures in and put all sorts of stuff in, 10 minutes of editing or 10 minutes of footage is 1 hour of editing. So if I have an hour video, I know Mornay does a lot of this too, it can take up to 6 hours of sitting at the desk just to edit the video. And so this is literally a full-time job. And I know a lot of people do understand this, put yourself, if you don't though, put yourself in our shoes. We don't have enough time to work another job and then do this at the same time. And so with the AdSense, the beautiful thing about YouTube with the AdSense is that money that's coming from the commercials isn't coming from the viewer. It's coming from the businesses that you're not paying for, you're already paying for your internet. Like you got to have the internet. It's not, so it's a way to make revenue that's not coming from you guys. Exactly. I mean, I have a Patreon and I love my patrons. You guys are awesome. But I know you guys have a Patreon too, right? But the monetization and we don't, and I want to say this too, because I've got we can't pick our commercials. We don't pick the commercials. Google picks the commercials based off of what you have been shopping for on your internet. So I've had that a few times, like, why is this commercial up? We don't have a say on what commercial gets put up on the video, and everybody's going to get different commercials depending on what their algorithms are with their searches. And yes, we are aware that this is a bad guy platform, the Lucy platform, but all of us are stuck in that world right now. I'm sure everybody who's watching right now, your employer, unless you're working for a small business, if you're working for a corporation, guess what? You're also utilizing the assets of the bad guys. We have to right now until we flip. There's no other alternative. And actually,
use that platform.
These big deep state corporations are paying us right now. Like, isn't that comical? Like,
we're laundering their money in the best possible way, right? Brings a whole new meaning to money laundering. Give it to us, we'll spend it on good things for you.
Right,
we'll make good things from it. We'll make good things happen with that.
Exactly. So I just ask you guys, and I know 99.9% of you totally understand this. You totally get this. But when Shanti told me they were monetized, I was like, oh, thank God, you guys are going to get some kickback to be able to make your life easier so that you can continue. So you can continue to do this work. If you can't pay your bills, you can't buy food, you can't pay your rent or your mortgage, then you can't continue running your channel. So it's there's no secret bank account that we're living off of as truthers. We're having to make money the same way everybody else makes money, but I know a lot of people get that. I totally, most of our viewers, I think, absolutely get that. It's common sense, right? And so we thank you guys for your support.
Apparently there's a whole lot of money that belongs to us in the Vatican. So I'm just waiting for the Pope to pay up.
When the Pope pays up, we'll take off.
When the Pope pays up, I want to see how much I'm worth. I'd be interested to know what my name's worth on that Vatican registry.
I think when you and I went off to India, they're like, oh crap, we got to lower their worth because they're going to start figuring shit out. So
exactly. We'll just cross it.
Actually, let's tell them. So before we hit record, guys, I don't know if you guys caught Kristen Lee at Arcana Tarot. People have asked her questions about my research before. She always gets really positive cards, but somebody asked her about, I just got sent, my friend Toronto just sent it to me, that somebody asked her about the Essenes and the Tennessee thing that we spoke about Monday, if you haven't seen that episode, and she got really good cards, like aces, positive cards. And as I was telling Shanti this, your phone goes, what did it say?
My phone says, I'm sorry, I did not understand that.
We were like, oh my God, the people are watching us right now. They're like, what are they talking?
Exactly. I mean, Siri had no reason to be on. And when I tried to be cheeky with her and say, "Excuse me, are you eavesdropping, Siri?" she disappeared. I couldn't find her. So, I mean, she's
So
like gone
hello
now.
to the people watching us who are eavesdropping in on the bad guys, the Lucy's that were like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. They're figuring it out. Hey, we
I
are
did not
figuring
have
it out.
that. It's so funny.
Oh man, it was
Yeah.
hysterical. So speaking of hard truths,
It's time for part 2 of drum roll, Bryce.
Tartaria.
Yes. In South Africa, our African people, when they go yes or when they're excited, they go yebo.
Yep.
So if you want to be excited, you go yebo, yes.
It's so exciting because honestly, like Shanti, I keep telling people this, and I feel like in this waking up stage that we've all been in, things have come in like layers. And I feel like Tartaria is like the last thing because it's the Moab, isn't that what they call it? The mother of all,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
This
absolutely.
is because this is going to take everything down, guys. Once you realize Tartaria, you go, oh shit, nothing they've told us is real. Nothing. Everything is fictitious.
Absolutely. And if for those of you who haven't watched our previous video, it was actually on about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago already. We covered the first 3 episodes of Lost History of the Flat Earth. It's extremely interesting, I have to tell you. So we covered there and we went to the babies and the beautiful buildings. And we're just going to cover one episode today, which is episode 4, because it's extremely long. And that really is on the... And I so want to say, guys, I really recommend you guys watch the series because you're going to see what we're just doing as decoding. And this particular episode is very scientific, and neither Bryce or I are that way inclined. So I just hope to God there's no science teachers or something watching us, because I don't want to think about the things that are going to come out of my mouth today. But
I will, and I said this on Monday, God, our source creator endows us with all these beautiful gifts, but then also there's some gifts we just don't have. And I know that I'm a great researcher. I know that I'm great at philosophy. I get that. That's kind of my wheelhouse. But when it comes to science, you literally have to teach me like I'm 5, because I can't, like, it's just, I mean, I don't know what happened. And advanced mathematics too. It's like, I get this block in my head and I'm like, I just don't understand what's happening. So,
exactly.
So please just understand that this is, but I want to tell you, Shanti, actually, I'm going to tell you this off camera. I have found someone who's kind of an expert at Tartaria. And so when we're done with the series, I was thinking maybe we could talk to him as well. Because he's that's all he researches is Tartaria. So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll contact him once we get through with the series and bring him in, and he can also maybe take questions too from audience members that we can't answer, because...
Well, I'm wondering if we shouldn't even try and get him in already. That might be nice if the audience would like, if he's prepared and the audience would like.
I can reach out to him.
It'd be great to actually have an expert. I mean, I just love, I was completely enthralled by that when I first watched it. You know, I've watched it 3 or 4 times. And so I just thought it'd be really nice. All we're really doing is giving you tidbits of what it's about. So for those of you who haven't watched it, it really is, I mean, it's not about us being experts on the topic, but it's really about hopefully getting you interested enough to actually watch it for yourself so that you can see what it is that we've been lied to about. You know, I remember always, you know, we talk about the flat earth and, you know, people make a lot of jokes about that. And I'm like, okay, well, when I was approached to actually have Dave Weiss, who's the flat earth Dave, they call him, maybe a year ago now already on the show, I was like, okay, cool. Well, you know, flat earth, but we've been lied to about so many things already. So let's see what this is about. And I got to tell you guys, it is fascinating. This series is fascinating. The evidence with which they present you is irrefutable, actually.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, we are not here about the flat earth, actually, but although you're going to see some things are going to coincide. Like this is the episode 4. Now, the first thing, which I really love, he talks about water. Now, is the earth flat or is the earth round, basically? And I remember what they're saying is that earth is in a sort of a, what do you call it? Just a...
From when I think about the whole, and I will say you're correct, because the whole point of this series is basically Tartaria. And the flat earth, even though it's called a brief history of the flat earth or something, or the missing history of the flat earth comes into this when we get to the water. That's when the whole flat earth things comes into the picture. But other than that, it's really just about this whole civilization that existed that we have not been told about. And yes, so when I think about the way that they describe the flat earth, it almost to me seems like we're in like a snow globe. Does that make sense? Like, those snow globes you can take up.
Okay. A firmament, yes. And that's what they say. It's a firmament, which is, so it's not flat. And, you see so many silly memes about people surfing off the side of the earth or something. It's nothing like that. I mean, they presented us with footage, right? I mean, as you go along, you'll see they actually present you with footage. And then what they're saying is that there's about 30 miles from the earth, 30 miles up is a firmament. So it's a dome-shaped firmament, which is really the shape of the earth. So it's not flat, it's not round, we're not on a spinning globe, but we are stationary with the dome-shaped firmament in which the ionosphere and what have you, the atmosphere, we live in 5 different layers, but we're going to get there. But the first thing he says, which I find very, very interesting when he speaks about water, and he said, if God could give man a tip when they came to earth to, so that they could see whether they're being duped or not, is to watch the behavior of water, because water will always find its resting place on a flat surface. Now I heard that was like, absolutely, of course. It made
wasn't that the military back channel number 17? We can't say the alphabet. That was one of the posts, was watch the water. The water. What were they trying to nudge you to? They were trying to get you to look at this and look at Tartaria. Okay, because I wrote down, resting water does not curve or convex. It takes the exact shape of the container it fills.
Exactly. So that immediately, for me, that makes a lot of sense. And later on we get more into water, the structure of water and how they bless the water, and the big organs that were actually in the churches were actually to structure the crystallized formation of the water crystals so that the water is healthy and strong, and they do it through sound. It's insane. It's amazing. But anyway, we'll get there later. So what were we going to do today, Bryce? What else was after that? Sorry,
well, let's talk about the arc. Let's talk about electromagnetism, because this comes into the episode as well. When we look at all of these arcs, so let's look at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, which is one of the, from what I understand from what he has said, this is one of the largest magnets from Tartaria.
But you see, when you're actually looking at that, we've got to look at the horseshoe magnet, because there's because the magnet, or whatever electricity, Earth has electromagnetic field, okay, which really we exist within that. And what they've really done is destroyed the way that it was done in the past. And now when you, for example, look at a magnet, so you have the two poles coming close to each other at the bottom. So you have the electromagnetic field, and that talks to each other. So it's therefore creating power. So through the generation of the magnetic field, in the horseshoe magnet, it creates the power. It generates energy for the planet. So now when you're looking at all these magnificent buildings that were built at the time, like these arcs, and again, now we're going back to the ancient times, and you're looking at these huge, massive buildings next to the stuff that they built of the time, which was pretty much
very basic, very well. That's too, you guys remember last time we said, you know, he goes that whole yeah right. You know, they told us that the Arc de Triomphe was, or the horseshoe magnet was found in 1824. No, it wasn't. And this also goes back to the North and South Pole that we do have in our planet. This is what the Earth is telling you, that this is the fundamental force of Earth is coming from the North and South Pole as the two opposing forces of electronic energy. It's a dance of polarity. And so they either repel or attract. And that in itself is a very simple understanding of the way magnetism works. Now, the interesting thing again about the Arc de Triomphe, which he talks a lot about this one, because again, have you been to the Arc de Triomphe, Chantelle, in Paris before? I've been there before, and it's huge. We have arcs in Atlanta too, and they're not as big. This one is freaking huge. And if you look close, if you pull up on your computer a picture of the Arc de Triomphe and you look close at the detail that is put into the design of the Arc de Triomphe and other arcs around the world, and then you remember what we talked about last time with these fancy tools weren't created until the mid 1800s. Like, like they did not create the people of Paris. Sorry, Parisians, but no, the people of Paris did not create this. This was there. It was already there. It's always
and
been
it's the controllers literally claim that they had made it, and the people of the early 19th century, you know, they said pretty much we made this. And you see these crazy stories that they concoct about these people that create, well, I mean, it's ridiculous when you break it down and you see how much credit they've given to these ghost people that don't even exist, pretty much.
But I don't think we could mimic this today. This is the Marble Arch in London. I mean, they're everywhere, guys. They're all over the Americas too. Riddle me that, Batman. If the story they told us about the Americas and the white people coming over on boats, it's kind of like the Capitol building. Like, why do we have all these arches in America? We have a couple in Atlanta. Like, why? For decoration? Like, why? They were already here, guys, because Tartaria was here. And they were used to, okay, so I wonder if I can get, I'm going to look and see if I can find an overhead shot of the Arc de Triomphe to show you guys. Arc de Triomphe. Because it is, when you see it from an overhead picture, you see overhead, you see the what the magnet was actually doing. Oh, here we go. Okay. You can actually hold on one second. Let me get this. Here we go. Let's see. How the hell did people roaming around on horses
exactly and muddy
streets and dresses packed full of mud figure this shit out?
Exactly. Look at that. Again,
riddle me that, Batman. How did that happen? It's perfectly it's perfectly designed. There's geometry here. We know through yoga that there is sacred geometry within nature. We see that. I mean, he speaks about the patterns, the somatic patterns that you see. It's vibrational energy, and he calls this vibrational energy the Holy Spirit of God. Yes. Patterns that are caused in water by magnets, all this kind of stuff. We see this in snowflakes, where that doctor who studied crying, and he looked at tears of someone who had cried because they were happy, tears because someone cried because they were sad, angry, and you can magnify them and see the different patterning depending on the vibrational frequency coming from the human at that time. We see these patterns in fruits and vegetables as well. You know, this is showing you that this is what was happening. How is it that the Arc de Triomphe, above it, we can see this perfectly patterned geometrical pattern that also mimics that of a fruit. If you were to cut a papaya in half, you're seeing the exact thing.
I want to just say that and that's very interesting, because I took a lot of interest in that, is where the ether comes in. Mm-hmm. Because ether is what they're saying is God's Holy Spirit, because ether is the binding force between spirit and matter. Ether is the connecting force between sound, frequency, and magnetism, electromagnetism. So it's like every different frequency or vibration expresses itself in a certain way. So fruit, for example, and the patterning of fruit, like look in the middle of a tomato or a kiwi or whatever, that is all an expression of the ether. It is actually really beautiful the way they explain it. So I know I'm probably not doing it much justice the way I'm explaining it now, because you see the holographic patterning and you literally see, of course, that everything is made up of an electromagnetic field. Everything, it has to be. So what they're basically saying is that the controllers have destroyed all that technology, and we're going to see it a little bit later on, and of how our ancient ancestors actually built buildings and things. Like you're going to see churches, for example, what we think of churches now, mosques, castles. None of these things were built for those purposes. They were great big generators that actually harnessed and what do you call it when it sends out energy? A transformer. So they were great big transformers that were actually harnessing the ether and the electromagnetic field and literally supplying the entire planet with energy. So we do not need false energy. We have, and what they're saying, and this guy goes to great lengths to explain. And again, I'm not scientific. I was looking at the stuff saying, okay, but he explains the PowerPoints and that does that and the frequency does that. And when you work with it, he's very, very, very good at how he does it and how he explains how everything works together and what they've done. There you go. There's the horseshoe magnet. If you can just go down a bit, Bryce.
Yep.
You see, so yeah, you have the North and the South Pole that meet. So when those two poles are that close together, just like that arch there, you're going to have the strongest flow of energy. So they would then use the arches of the North and the South Poles together, because that's where they would get that strongest current of energy, which then is the electromagnetic force that is sent out that literally energizes every part of this entire planet. And that's the information that they have stolen from us. That's the knowledge that, according to what we're seeing here, has been hidden from us, which is insane.
It mirrors what's happening with medicine too. So
yes.
what our lineage, from what I understand is our ancestors lived in Tartaria. And when the mud flood came and they got wiped out, when they created the incubator babies to repopulate, they took DNA from our ancestors and created us with that DNA. So we do still carry the genetic coding to remember this through our ancestors. But guys, everything our ancestors in Tartaria did with energy, with healing, was all provided by the earth. They didn't have to do sorcery to create any chemicals, to create a mimic, basically mimicking what the earth naturally does by itself. And we know that pharmakia is the Greek word for sorcery. And so you see it mirrored in the medicine too. And like for Shanti and I, like when we look at more Ayurvedic stuff, or like people like us in our jobs outside of YouTube, where we're focused more on plant medicine, using natural stuff, we're actually using the same thing that our ancestors used by providing what the earth provides us to help balance, because we are a part of that, right? And so that's the same thing. They're trying to take all that that majesty of the earth away from us, instead of actually showing us. I'm sure using magnets meant that they didn't have power outages like we do when a tree falls down, you know.
You see but that's sorry, Bryce, that's what's given them their power. And that's what you're saying. You know, if we go back just to understanding that our ancestors understood the laws of nature. They were not of the dark, they were of the light. They were God's people, you know, so they were not trying to destroy, they were trying to understand, how do we harness our God-given gifts, and how do we create energy? How do we make fire? How do we, and we're going to see now, it's insane, because the first thing they talk about is the ether, of course, which connects everything. And it is that they call it the glue that combines the frequencies, the sounds, the electromagnetic fields to express itself in a certain way. I mean, when a frequency will express it through fruit, through vegetables, through flowers, through plants, that's the ether expressing itself as what he calls it, Christ. That's the Christ consciousness, the Holy Spirit. That is actually ether. It's the Holy Spirit is the glue that binds us all together, that gives us our expression. Yes, our expression of self, which is amazing. We have
air, fire, water, earth. We know we have those elements. We have it in our zodiac. We have it in our world. We know that those are the elements of nature. But air, fire, water, and earth are all expressions of ether.
Yes, exactly.
They're all children of ether.
And what they're saying there is that ether is the mysterious fifth element, actually. So you have the fire, air, earth, and water. So those are the elements that we work with, but ether is the mysterious fifth element, that without ether, those four would not exist, right?
No, they would not exist.
It's the parent. So they are all expressions of ether, right?
Yeah.
So
and I want to show you guys this too. This chart right here that I'm circling with my mouse thing here. He shows this on the actual video, and I'm not good at science. I'm not as technologically savvy as Mornay is, so I apologize that it's not as fancy as he can do it. He's definitely very talented when it comes to that whole stuff. But I want you guys to notice, now I think I've talked about this on your channel before, and a subscriber of mine pointed this out to me. Now, if we have a firmament over our earth, and the story goes, now, if you're still having a hard time believing this, there are actual clips of Miss Hillary, that's all I'll say, talking about trying to break through the glass. All right, so they know this. Now, we are told that the firmament
also Simpsons, by the way. Sorry, Bryce, I want to just add into that. And we know how the Simpsons have used the kids in their predictive stuff. Like we've often seen in the Simpsons, predictive stuff like the Canadian truckers, Trump, a lot of stuff. And they also predicted the firmament, like breaking the glass ceiling, as they call it. That was also in the Simpsons, incidentally. So the controllers definitely have knowledge of this, and Hillary has spoken definitely in her encoded language as well about that. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, well, we've been told that spiritually. So from what I understand, maybe in Tartaria, the firmament wasn't there. They were actually seeing the true, what we would consider the sky. Now that's confusing to me because apparently there's water above us too. That stuff I don't totally understand, but
we're in water.
Yeah. But we'll see as time goes on. But according to any type of channeling people have done with off-worlders, or even looking at the Bible, the Dracos, if we look at this from a more of a galactic situation that everyone is in right now, not just Earth, the Dracos had destroyed multiple planets. All right. Lyra, I think the Pleiades got it. There's multiple times that the Dracos have done this catastrophic stuff. And when they came to Earth, apparently the firmament got placed over Earth to try to to keep them here on this planet, to kind of like block them in the corner. That's what I've been told, to keep them. So no wonder Hillary wanted to break out. So now what we know with the firmament is now there have been these huge chunks of like blue glass that have shown up in Florida out of nowhere, like that fell. We know that in China.
Apparently it's like a silicone type material. It's almost like silicone, they say.
Yeah. Well, China, they're starting. I want you to guys see this here. So here's the blue sky. If you can see this, maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. There's the blue sky. You see the airplane right there? That's where we hang out, is this blue area.
Yeah,
And
that's
this is called
us.
the ionosphere, right? And so then we go into the green light and the red light and then the purple at the top. Okay. So in China right now, there's like a red sky on and off. And of course, and this is another thing too, I want to remind you guys is that right now in this timeline war that we're in, this is a war of vibration as well. And the lower our vibration stays, the better chance the controllers have of hijacking 4D positive and taking us 4D negative. Okay. So I want everybody to be aware of that. You are the storm, you are the antenna. And so what's happening right now, and I know people are going to get upset by me saying this, but the truth will set you free. What's happening right now in a lot of these cabal controlled churches, all churches, especially in the United States, are controlled by the cabal because they're 501c3s. Okay. They're controlled by the Satanists. This is fact. This is just fact, guys. So what they're doing is they're scaring the people to think, oh, these red skies mean that we're coming into the apocalypse. Guys, the apocalypse already happened. And is according to the book of Revelation, because if we look at Tartaria, Tartaria was the 1,000 years of peace that is promised when Christ ruled, the Christ consciousness ruled. And then according to the book of Revelation, the agreement was that after the 1,000 years, the devil, the Dracos, would be released again for a short time to give humans one last chance to decide which direction they want to go. This is a third density is a planet of choices. They've made it very obvious. We have very obvious choices right now. All right. And so what I want you guys to be aware of when you're seeing these red skies, if you really, and again, don't take our word for it, go and study Tartaria yourself. What we're seeing is not the apocalypse. It's actually pretty exciting because what we're seeing is the disintegration of the firmament. And look what's right here at the top, a purple sky. And what was that Prince song? 1999, the sky was turning purple. There were people running everywhere. So what if that purple sky is really just what if, and we don't have all the answers, guys. Shanti and I have the same software, the same resources everybody else watching does. We don't have any special books or anything like that. But what if, just what if, given what we know with Tartaria, this purple sky is a sign that we're going 4D positive. And we're going into, as the Sophia calls it, the golden age of miracles. But yet
Can I ask you something which I find quite interesting and I've noticed? Now, there was a little while ago that in America, all the streetlights and stuff went purple. And apparently, do you remember that? And Hillary Clinton, or was it Hillary Clinton or the Queen or someone was appearing somewhere wearing purple outfits and that, or purple things. And that was something to do with the revolution.
So they have taken, so again, guys, I'm going to remind you guys. So they have literally taken everything the light has created and tried to invert it. So that's why the royal family wears purple, is because they want to take that and invert it and make it theirs, right? They can't create anything on their own. But the true purple color is the true color of our sky. And so they can't create their own shit. They have to take from us. How pathetic is that? How pathetic is that? They can't create their own stuff. They just got to steal from us. So I want you guys to understand this. And this is why, because if you keep listening to this propaganda coming from the church about the apocalypse, your vibration is going to stay so low and in such a state of fear that we're going to go negative. Whether we go positive or negative is up to us. It's not up to Trump. It's not up to the Kennedys. It's up to us. We're the storm. We're the antenna. So I really, really, really ask you guys to research this because the apocalypse already happened. It already happened.
Another thing, I want to just ask you, sorry, while we're on that, because I don't know if anyone has noticed the Jubilee, the Royal Jubilee. Lots of colors, blue and green, like we're seeing there. Lots of the blue and the green. Now I'm wondering what that's about, because if we can, I mean, I saw, does anyone else? Are
I
you
mean, were they
aware of that?
signaling
Anyone
to
else?
us? Because I'm not someone that thinks this is all a movie. I definitely think believing this is a movie means that we're less resting on our laurels, and that's what the bad guys want us. We know that they're still carpooling, we'll say carpooling kids around
Yeah.
the world. We know that's still going on. If you think it's not going on, then you got another thing coming. We're in a war right now. But I do think there is, to an extent, some control that the good guys have over the dark players a little bit. And I think the royal family is one of them. I don't think the queen is still alive. I think she's already been gone. I don't know if she was taken out or if she died on her own, natural causes. I don't know. The chick was old, like, you know. So I don't know, like, if they were signaling each other, if they were trying to. You have to remember, I'm not, this is just my opinion. I think with the white hats, if there are white hats, what they're doing is close to what the black hats have done, in the sense that they are using the same devices to try to prepare us. So they're putting things out, they're putting colors out to try to get you mentally prepared for, I mean, I laugh about this because
I think, sorry to interrupt you, Bryce, just speaking about that. In fact, we had Jesse on the show earlier, who was talking about this color programming that has been very much part of the system as well. So I think at the moment, there's also a lot of triggering going on all over. A lot of backup programming is being triggered at the moment as well, you know, so there's lots of things going on.
And he talks about the backup triggering in this, or the backup programming in this. So I just really, what we have to, and I know we've said this so many times, guys, again, in all seriousness, the darkness can't create anything, guys. They can't. Think about, I mean, Shanti and I said we're not scientists, but I know photosynthesis, we had to learn that in like elementary school. The light creates stuff, not the darkness. So all these color, who made the rainbow? Source God made the rainbow. Who made all of our skin colors? Source Creator made that. Color is something created by God. They steal it and they invert it, but it doesn't mean that it's inherently evil. And so, like, when we say the purple sky, I just want everybody to understand, like, if we're in Gog and Magog, which is what I firmly believe, given the evidence of Tartaria, given the evidence, this is Gog and Magog. And also looking at books like The Law of One that talk about this, and from a very spiritually scientific perspective, The Law of One does not really go into religious stuff. It's just more your conscious spirituality of what's happening. You know, we have a choice to make right now. And that choice is going to be coming through a lot of subtle awareness. And so when we talk about the storm, I really truly believe that we are the storm. We are the antennas. And if you allow yourself to stay in a place of terror, and you're afraid because you've been convinced by a church that this is the apocalypse and the tribulation is going to come and you're going to get beheaded because of what X, Y, and Z, then that's going to keep you low. And that's going to allow for the Great Reset to come in.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Talk about the prophecy of us going forth, density positive, and the Law of One and the Cassiopeians always use the word probability, which I like better than prophecy, because I think prophecy allows us to rest on our laurels sometimes instead of actually doing the work. When we look at probabilities, it becomes a little bit more, or we become a little bit more of aware that this isn't actually 100% set in stone. Now, the probability of us going forth density positive into that purple sky and back to a world that looks more like Tartaria, where we have free energy and food is abundant, although we know food is already abundant, they just get rid of most of it. When we have this beautiful future, if we sit in that low vibration, it's going to take us into the other way. Exactly. And that's what they want. And so I really, really ask that you guys take your power back. Do this research. As we said on Monday, knowledge protects.
Absolutely. And you're going to see, you know, that's what I'm saying with stuff like this. I mean, you don't have to believe anything. I mean, you know, there's a whole big thing now about the flat earthers and the heliocentric earthers. You know, that's not what this is about.
No.
All we're saying is that we want you to just have a look, go and research. The link for this documentary is here. It is incredible information, because now not only are you going to see that, but then they take you, for example, into the different buildings. And I want
Can we talk about the linguistic memory? That was, because I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Absolutely.
Like as far as whether the Earth's flat or round or not, really, I don't really care. In my own opinion, what I think is fascinating is the healing, is what was happening on this Earth, regardless of whether this Earth is flat or round. What was freaking happening? The fact that we've been so linguistic memory. Now, when we talk about the old cathedrals that we think, and I know this is going to trigger people. It's going to trigger people, but the truth will set you free. We get the word cathedral from the word cathode. Cathode is, it's a let's see, it's a cavity magnetism. So it's how energy leaves. Okay. So all these beautiful old churches and mosques and temples, they were not for religious purposes. No. Well, maybe in some ways they were for spiritual purposes, because it's how they were.
I'd say spiritual. I would really say spiritual, but they were never built as a mosque in a certain dome shape with a certain cross on the top. Neither were they these spiky cathedrals and spiky whatever, pointy things, and castles, especially castles.
Yeah.
You know, and carry on.
That cracked me up in the first few episodes where he was, before he gets into this, he was showing the old cold, damp castles, and he was like, so you mean to tell me that the rich royals of the days of yore were living in these old, damp, cold castles, but the peasants were living in these tiny shacks that were built to keep heat in? Right. You
Not
know,
true.
so
exactly.
And so what they did, what our controllers did, is we have, and I think stained glass is beautiful. Don't get me wrong, it's gorgeous, but it's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, they put stained glass in that's supposed to be open. Those things are supposed to be open. They're supposed to be ventilation, not glass at all.
Here, what does this say? A cathode is a type of electrode through which electrons move. Electrodes are an electrical conductor, usually metal, that is connected to something that is not metal. The cathode type of electrode delivers electrons, a negative charge, and the anode collects electrons, has a positive charge. So, I don't know if you guys can see this fully. Let's see if I can move my screen. Oh, whoops. No, I don't want to go to Twitter. Cathode, so cathode with the cathode raw, so cathedral. That's where we get the name cathedral. That's called a linguistic memory, is that these cathedrals were not meant to be just for Christians, or the mosques were not meant to be. And in fact, if you get into Tartaria, he talks about in the beginning how all the big religions of the world were created by the controllers right after the mud floods to divide us.
Exactly.
People of Tartaria all believed and were in the same understanding of truth, of what, and with us saying that, guys, I want to make this very, very clear, because people like to jump to conclusions. I firmly believe in source creator. I firmly have a very intense relationship with something that is bigger than me, that comes through me, comes through my chakra system. I am not an atheist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm far from it. So I don't want people to twist what we're saying. The people of Tartaria understood God. Nothing was held back from them. Nothing was, I mean, I saw pictures yesterday, I shared it on my Twitter, from the Sirius, I follow their Twitter, that in Tartaria, angels walked among men. That's why we have so many carvings of angels, because they walked among men.
And we're not talking fallen angels, people. We're not talking the fallen angels that we hear about in the biblical sense. I mean, these were exactly that. It was God's celestial beings. And this is also, you know, and I remember we always speak about the light and the dark, the positive, the negative, the polarities, you know, everything that is good. So man at that stage was really living in harmony with our creator. So God was giving humanity this information through meditation, prayer, whatever, how to build these things, the technologies, whatever. They were given this information directly from God. So we're taught that how to harness the energies and how to power
To
up the
help each
planet.
other. To help.
Yes.
That was, so if you're looking at this biblically, like that's the 1,000 years of peace of Christ's reign, or Christ consciousness reign. And if you go back a couple of weeks ago on one of the Monday shows, where Steph and I talked about the Merovingians, who were the descendants of the Magdalene. That's what the name Merovingian, the bees, the hair. They knew about the bees were healing. They knew remember we said that they were different because they, unlike the royal family we have today, they didn't see themselves as being superior to their people. They saw themselves as being responsible for the people as equals. And so it starts to make sense. Like, this stuff makes way more sense than the crap they taught us in school.
I agree. I mean, it's just amazing. So basically what they're saying is that all these cathedrals or castles, churches, was never ever built for that. And of course the beautiful windows, and also not just that, you'll see as you go on, like if you're looking at those designs, the way those flowers have been carved, again, it's the electromagnetic frequency that those designs create and the energy they emit, and how they're placed in creating the energy for the world. So they were never, or the planet rather, they were never meant to be windows in there. Everything is supposed to be ventilated as is. And it's just amazing because these were then great big energy storage houses for the planet, these places, the castles, the cathedrals, the temples, etc., that literally emanated energy for the entire planet. And our ancestors knew how to build things, construct things, create things, to harness that energy and literally charge up the planet. Then you're also going to see all the religious symbols, for example, like the cross on the top of the church towers, on the top of the mosque, the way the mosque is shaped, and it's made from gold and something. The way the dome shape of the mosques, there you go. The crosses, the antenna is never about the Christian cross. That was about drawing the energy, harnessing the energy through that antenna so you could draw it through. Remember, these were storage houses, transformers. So drawing it through the cross and then sending it out, whatever the word is, I forget it now, into the rest of the planet. So none of this is religious. This is what they're telling us. The dome is not the dome there, the mosque of the, and also they used gold and something, other materials with which to create those, also to harness the sun. Now we're looking at the electromagnetic frequency of the sun that they were using as well. With the materials they used to build it. There you go, look at those antennae at the top. So that was used to direct the energy again. It's insane. It's amazing how they did it. And then again, you see how they've used this to divide us through religion. I mean, these are supposed to be mosques, right? That says that's a Muslim. And that's really
a Greek Orthodox. So, and look, let's put, so this is actually a Greek Orthodox church.
Oh, that's cute. Sorry,
how much does it look like a mosque? So you see, guys, none of this was ever used for different groups of people. It was for all of humanity. And I actually think our Tartarian ancestors would be horrified by the way we've started treating each other because of religion. I mean, this in Russia, like, y'all, I mean, look how beautiful these Russian buildings are. I mean, how did people in horse and buggy do that? Who were carrying lanterns around at night because they didn't have light bulbs? Like, how did they make that shit? Like, come on. It's and we know that they had help. The humans of Earth had help from the higher dimensional beings, as in angels, to help them to do this, because it was free for everyone. It was free for everyone. And absolutely. I know, like, it wasn't just energy to keep our Earth powered. Healing is also vibrational energy. The absolutely. Healing, allowing the DNA to heal, and it's unbelievable. Absolutely. Like, it's somebody, for me, who's not scientifically minded, this was just unbelievable that
It's
it's so much
that's
sense.
exactly. I mean, honestly, I got to tell you, when I watch this, and every time I watch it, it's like I'm so excited to watch. I get such a happy feeling. It's like, wow, I can't wait to see this. And let me tell you, if I cannot study, I'm very happy. I was the laziest student on the planet. I'm lucky that I have had a photographic memory, so I remember things. Um, as as a kid anyway, a teenager, not so much anymore. I haven't used those skills for a while, but it's so exciting to watch this. It's like my soul feels it's being nourished and nurtured, just the information. And you're right, Rochelle, thank you. The Ankh is also a conductor, probably the main one, because remember, the Ankh is also used as a tuning fork. So that's very cool. And it's amazing. Yes, the stained glass is beautiful. I mean, they've made the temples look absolutely beautiful. But then again, you're looking at the domes, the antenna, spiked antenna, domed resonators, the columns, the domes and the columns, everything together. And then you see the beautiful designs with which it's been created. All of that stuff is really here to energize. Then they talk about red bricks, okay? Now, red bricks are also very good conductors of electricity, right? So when we're looking at certain places that were built from red bricks, right, Bryce? I'm just trying to think of that picture now. I'm just forgetting what.
I'm gonna pull up. It depends on what Google will show us because
Yeah.
we're on the enemy's platform. But no, they're just showing me modern.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they knew how to work with the elements of the earth as well,
Yeah,
as far as like
absolutely.
creating. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's fascinating, guys. Really, really fascinating. Now, I mean, I really hope, I don't know if there's anything else from you, Bryce,
No,
which you
I
want to
think that's
say.
about it for today. I
Yeah.
mean, this episode number 4 is a really long one. He goes into so much detail. I mean, you can tell that this guy, whoever he is, if he's watching, we would love to talk to you. But
Yeah.
he obviously has done his homework and he really understands the way that this works and the way that it did work. And
Yes.
and it gives me hope that our ancestors were peaceful people that didn't judge each other and lived with each other in harmony and helped each other. You know, I'm looking at these cathedrals, even though they were energy stores, they're like this big battery almost that was sending out. I'm sure that any human being on the planet could have walked into one of those cathedrals at any time they wanted to because it belonged to all of us. And as we know, the government now doesn't let us in certain places, cuts it off from us. We can't go in the Grand Canyon. We can't go in these places in Tennessee. We can't go see. But in that world, I'm sure everything was open to everyone because we were all, this is our earth. It's not about individual countries. It was about humanity. It was our earth. And so
Yeah.
I just encourage everybody to do your own research. Just please do your own research into this so that you, because what is it? Knowledge is power, knowledge protects, and knowledge is infinite. And the more that you study this stuff, you don't, like Shanti and I are bad at science. We don't fully understand, but the truth resonates.
Absolutely. You know, the thing is, when you're actually sitting and you're watching this and he explains, the guy, he's got a British accent and sounds quite pompous, but he's hilarious in the way that he says, you know, the way he talks about the controllers and Earth being a spinning space testicle. I mean, like, what? Where did you come on that? You know,
like he would get along with us just fine.
Absolutely. So it's very, very well narrated.
Yeah.
And his imagery is really, really good. When you're sitting there, you're watching it, it makes perfect sense. But for me, who's not scientifically minded like that, it's very difficult to relay it properly. So forgive me for not having, but all I want to really do from my side, and I know Bryce is the same, we just want to whet your appetite. So to go and watch it, go and enjoy it, because you will see how you feel. For me, it's like, oh my gosh, of course. And can
I tell you something super exciting that somebody, I think either they put it on my Twitter or my YouTube, I can't remember, but now it's an American. I know she was talking about someone in America. She goes around her neighborhood now looking for signs of Tartaria. And
Mm.
I've been doing that too. I've been doing that too here in Atlanta. Because I believe this was the I think this is called Atlanta for a reason. I think it's it was one of the capitals of Atlantis. Because its original name was Marthasville. Why are you going to change the name Marthasville to Atlanta? Like, yeah, right. Like, what's happening? You know, so I've been doing that too in Atlanta. When I take the dog out, I'll be looking around it because we've got a lot of old buildings here that they tell us were built, you know, in the 1800s before the Civil War and the fire of Atlanta. We can get into that too someday, Chantelle, too. All these great fires that happened in Chicago, London, Atlanta. What were they getting rid of? What did they want to destroy so we wouldn't find?
Absolutely.
But the story they told you guys, they were trying to get rid of something so we wouldn't see it. What was here in Atlanta before Sherman burned down Atlanta in the Civil War? Now I'm starting to think the Civil War wasn't even what we thought it was. So what was here in this city that they got rid of so that we wouldn't find? And so that's fun. Like, go on scavenger hunts wherever you live in the world. Go on scavenger hunts. See if you can see marks from the mud flood on old buildings.
Absolutely. And you're going to see it. The more you know it's the same as when we're looking at the Lucy's and their symbols with whatever they do. Or, you know.
Apparently we do it too all the time. I talk with my hands, be like, you're throwing down symbolism. I'm like, literally, I'm talking with my hands.
Exactly. You know, and we used to do that, like, is cool. Yeah. Not these people. That's like cool. No. You know. Anyway, so the point is that it's really just something that is fun, and it's awareness. There's so much that's being revealed right now, and it's just this makes me so joyful to know that we've never been divided by religion, because that is something anyone who knows me knows that I don't care what denomination you are. I really, really don't. For me, that is, I never grew up with that kind of conditioning. It's never made sense to me. Racism, even though I was born in apartheid South Africa, it never made sense to me. You know, and it makes my heart so happy to know that there was a time where we were divided by nothing. You know, we were working together as a human species, creating this magnificent place in which we can come and play in our human bodies. What a flippin' awesome thing we did for ourselves. This was our playground. And the Lucy's got jealous. They wanted it for themselves. They like the big, ugly, jealous brothers. Look what they're doing. I'll just take it. Seriously.
Well, can I tell you, as an American,
Yeah.
And as an American too, I will say I've been talking with a lot of my friends about this, because I have, you know, friends of all races who are all my friends who are awake. You know, they told us here in America that there was a slave trade. They brought slaves to America, the white man bad, all that kind of stuff. Well, if we start looking at Tartaria, we realized that was all a story, and they put us here in incubators and then gave us assigned roles. And when you start to realize that, even that, you go, wait a minute. It's not white man bad. It's not black man bad. It's not, they created that story to make us fight so we wouldn't look at what they're doing. And when you realize they're the ones that created that sick story, they created that sick story when before we were all living in harmony, then it makes you super, super pissed and you want to take your effing power back.
Well, it's like what they've done is they saw something very beautiful, not just in a human juicy spirit that they're after, our juicy souls, but what we could create on this planet. We created magic. We made magic with God's energy, and we did it so beautifully. All you have to do is look at the structure and stuff from what we've seen. And also what I want to do, by the way, Bryce, is go even back before that, go back to Africa in the 1400s, because then you're going to see how Africa had all the main libraries and all the long before any of this stuff. The African people have been revered for many centuries for their contributions to the academic world, actually, and that has been suppressed. You see, Africa has been made now to look like this third world country, and with these savages that have no idea how to behave. So the British has to come and colonize, you know, wherever they go. It's like, yes, yeah, we are. We'll just take your land, you know, and then come with their missionary nonsense and Christian missionary propaganda and telling the local people they are savages if they don't become Christians. That's exactly what they did, you know. So we know that Africa is so rich in resources. So I would love to us to go back and do some deep dives after this as well into that talk I did, remember, on the thing on the Cabal in Africa.
Yeah.
And
yeah, let's do it.
There's a lot of information there, which is incredibly interesting. So we've got so much to unfold, guys, and we would love to hear from you. If you have anything to share regarding this, you know, I just love your interactions, guys. Thank you so much for being part of us in the chats, and everyone's giving information and just being part of this little chat we're having. It's awesome. Thank you so much, Bryce. I don't know. Do you want anything? Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I just really hope that everybody watching right now understands that all the information we bring to you guys from our this, I feel like we're presenting somebody else's research, but with everything else, we're just trying to let you guys have a place to start to untangle your mind, because the future can be so amazing if we just get rid of all the programming and all the propaganda from the controllers. Oh my God. And you guys, there are more of us than there are them. We can do this. We can get back to a place like Tartaria. We can get back to that. It just takes a little bit of work and a little bit of unwinding and healing yourself, doing your inner work. And oh my gosh, we're all just walking each other home. That's all we're doing.
That was our heaven on earth. That was our heaven on earth, literally. If we have to look at all those beautiful, I mean, think about that. You know, when artists draw pictures of celestial heaven, it's often with those type of castle-y, icy, celestially. So quite frankly, it makes sense to me that we have already created heaven on earth, and there's no ways that we can't do it again. So I definitely am looking forward to that.
But closing,
next week,
can I read you a little bit from the Sophia Code of what the African things they have you repeat? Speaking of heaven on earth, she says, they say, I accept that I hold the keys to my heaven on earth. I accept that I create my reality by the power of my word. My word is good. My heart is pure. By the loving power of my pure word, I now recognize and accept my human experience as the embodiment of my non-physical oversoul. So that's basically saying what Chantelle just said, like, we are responsible for creating our heaven on earth. We are responsible. We hold the keys. We are the storm.
And this is the proof that we've already done it. And there's the Ankh as well. Okay, the Ankh is sitting in those resonators and things. Okay, so they are all the little clues and things that we've done this all before.
And we'll do it again.
And we have the knowledge, we have the memory, it's within us. And as we see it, and as we then recognize that in us again, right? So we re-recognize that feeling, and that gives us that excited feeling that we've like come full circle, we're back home again in this. And it's not a physical home, it's a spiritual home. Tartaria for me is a spiritual home right now as well. You know, absolutely physically. But we got to create the Tartaria spiritually first again. Bring all the building blocks together within on a spiritual level, support each other, help each other, walk each other home, and then we start building our great big planet again, rebuilding. And because the Lucys, they got jealous. We were so pretty, and they just came and just broke it all. They just broke it all. They just, you know, when someone's got such a nice toy, you just want to break it. Well, that's what they did.
Yeah. And we all on this side, I've said this before, people get mad at me for saying this, but I'll say it again. I don't care. Everybody on this side of the fight right now are beautiful. You see their smiles, their beautiful eyes. You look at those on the other side, they ain't so pretty, guys. So it was all just a game of jealousy. So let's just own it. Let's take that sovereignty back.
I love it. It feels so good. Wonderful. We'll be back next week, same time, with the next chapter that we're going to be looking at as well. Episode 5, I think.
Yes.
Yes, I can't remember what it is.
It's something else scientific.
Yeah, it's another long one that we've got like a love it. Okay, beautiful people. Thank you. God bless you all. Such a pleasure to have you join us. And thank you. And look forward to you joining us very soon again.